Hello and welcome to the Home Screen Podcast. This is episode 11. Today I'm joined by Ben again.
Yeah, can't seem to get rid of me at the moment.
This is a special episode because we've just got back from watching Deadpool and Wolverine opening night in IMAX. Pretty much sold out screening. This is going to be our thoughts. We're basically going to do a quick synopsis, some spoiler-free thoughts, and then delving into the spoilers, talking about all the good spoilers. So, the synopsis of this film is essentially Wade Wilson's trying to live his life, trying to leave Deadpool behind. He's kind of retired. It's essentially on his birthday, he ends up being snatched by the TVA, and they essentially recruit him. Won't say too much, but yeah, he's essentially recruited and essentially given an assignment, which he kind of is forced to do. During the course of his assignment, he ends up teaming up with and uniting with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. It's the first time we see them together. So yeah, that's kind of the synopsis. It's going to be quite hard to tiptoe around spoilers for this, but we're just going to basically say our thoughts on the film and dodge spoilers, and then we'll delve into that further on. So what did you think?
I tried to, I was similar to you, tried to avoid anything too spoilery prior to it being out there, like the reviews dropped. I couldn't help myself, looked at a couple of spoiler-free reviews.
Yeah.
Like a lot of MCU projects of late, it was very polarizing. You had some people praising sort of like, MCU is back, like, we're back, baby. Yeah. And then other people saying like, nah, it's just, over bloated, like, it's dead, it's done. I'm in the former camp, personally. Yeah. Like, I am, massive fanboy of like Marvel stuff, really like it. Just a solid, good, fun movie. A lot of laughs in there. A lot of like mature, serious sort of bits. Yeah. It toes the line extremely well. It's like my new catchphrase on this show, isn't it? It does toe the line very well between the two.
Yeah. Just
good popcorn fun, I would say. Like it doesn't. Don't go in expecting your mind to be blown, but it does the job for what two and a bit.
Just over 2 hours. Yeah. It's on the shorter side of more recent MCU films. I think this is like the definition of giving the audience what they want. I think it's really like letting them have their cake and eat it.
Yeah, quite a lot of fan service in there, but not in a sort of like they're doing it for clout.
I would say that this feels like more leaning towards like a 3-star film until about the halfway point, and then it really
ramps up.
Like horse kicks it into gear, and then it definitely then is much stronger in the second half.
Yeah, it grows into it 100%.
Yeah, I think it starts. There's great gags from the beginning, like even the first scene, like they just get straight to it, and I think the action's great, the comedy's great, and it is good. I just think the actual like plot, like the MacGuffin and the plot, starts off quite slow.
It's quite a bit of exposition to get through, I guess.
Yeah, it just feels like they had the idea for this film. Oh, it'll be a Deadpool and a Wolverine film. We've been like building to it for ages, in and outside of the films, and then they kind of like shoved a plot into that idea. The idea and the kind of gimmick of the film was the film, and then they were like, right, let's get an antagonist, let's get a plot device, let's make like what are the stakes, and it kind of felt like that was added in after the fact, which is why I thought that was the weakest part of the film. I need to say that I actually really do like this film. I don't want to sound too down on it. I think that's just my main criticism, is that I think that it was a really fun movie, and everything about the movie, of like especially the comedy and the action, works really well. Just the kind of background plot and why are we actually doing this?
Yeah,
is the weakest part.
I felt it was very easy to sort of get lost in that until it had finished. I don't think I once sort of sat there and was like, this doesn't make sense. Why are they doing this? You just sort of like, look,
Yeah.
You were enjoying the spectacle, and there was no real time to sort of sit and think of, like say, stakes, plot. But like on a look back, maybe that could have been stronger. But it's not to the point where, this is a bad film because there's no plot. Like it's a great film if you're into that genre, great film, and that's where I'd lead. I feel like I said to you previously, like I think it's just cool to sort of like not review bomb, but just absolutely like pile driver onto this sort of like, the MCU's dead. It's on it's on the down.
And so many reviews nowadays are it's all or nothing. It's like this is either the best MCU film, Marvel's back, this is the best since Endgame, or it's the MCU is still on a downward spiral, blah blah blah. But people really try and lean into either or like camps. Yeah. I think it's perfectly fine.
It just summarises media at the moment. It feels almost clickbaity, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's all or nothing. And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with this being a 7 or an 8 out of 10 film, which is what I think it is. I think there's like, just because it's not the best thing or the worst thing doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be in either camp. I think this is a great fun movie, and people just need to enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
I think the comedy was great. I think if you liked the previous 2 Deadpool movies, you're going to love this. It's very much the same, like kettle of fish.
Same flavour, yeah.
Yes. Great fourth wall breaks, not done like too much. I think some bits were, I'll talk about them in the spoilers, but some bits are really, really well done to start with.
It didn't sort of go over the top with that sort of stuff, because I think that's one thing, like, a la She-Hulk. maybe
too far.
leaned into too much. And like, I'm not one of the people that sort of hates on it. Thought it was like, for what it was, quite good. I really liked the characters.
Yeah.
I just thought that like fourth wall break in the season finale was like maybe a little bit of a step too far for me.
I just thought it was a bit too meta. Whereas this is like very tongue in cheek, always walking the line of being like, don't go too far. Like there's a comment at one point where he's like, "Oh, thank God, because like the budget couldn't afford that anymore." And I was like, "That's great."
The little comments that sort of like, if you're not quite listening, you'll miss them.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like it's because it's in the happening in and amongst it with the dialogue. It's almost like it's not a blink and you'll miss it. Like the same, but for audio, I guess.
Yeah.
So like we get it, but it's like it's not like someone's going to turn around and be like, "What did you say?"
Yeah, like action and comedy is like the DNA of Deadpool as a character and the movies.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the grain of the film is action and comedy and like flipping in between the two.
So it does it like I said, does it very, very well. It's if you like superhero films,
Yeah.
it hits the nail right on the head.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to blow your mind. It's not going to change your life like something like maybe Interstellar would, or like a film that's up there. But it's just fun.
It's just fun, and I think that it's one of the films that like general audiences can see. Like other entries, maybe like Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, like a lot of other Phase 4 things.
Entry requirements are a little bit
yeah,
higher.
entry requirements, especially more so for the Disney Plus series, but like Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness and stuff. Like your average person wouldn't walk into that because they'd be so confused. Like haven't seen WandaVision, don't get the references to other things that have happened, and whereas like this is very much like anyone could watch this. And I think,
because it has ties back to like the previous Deadpool films and previous Fox properties.
It feels like, for lack of a better term, it feels like the Deadpool movies have a lot of street cred. Your average Joe is like, oh yeah, Deadpool movies are cool. Oh yeah, we'll go see that. It's like the summer blockbuster, like, oh, do you want to go see the cinema this weekend? Oh yeah, we'll go see Deadpool 3.
Yeah. I mean, it nearly didn't happen. I think it was before Fox wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I think it was the four people, like the two producers, Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like apparently, it is like a lot of people think that Ryan Reynolds did it, but like apparently one of the four leaked the test footage because the test footage like it resonated so well with so many fans. Fox were almost forced into greenlight in the first film. First film did really well.
Yeah.
On came the second.
And it just snowballed from there.
Yeah, 100%. He wanted to play Deadpool before he plays Wade Wilson in Origins.
I thought there was really strong action throughout, which was like good, well choreographed, bloody action. There's one part where there's like kind of like an assault on a base where it was like, okay, this is maybe perhaps too much shaky cam. I was like, I can't see what's happening. But some other stuff, one take was great action. And I do think that it feels like it was quite a nice emotional climax, and I felt that towards the end it was quite a nice send-off for both the characters. So yeah, that's kind of spoiler-free thoughts. So delving into spoilers.
Spoilers!
Okay, cameos, fourth wall breaks, and all that jazz. I love how immediately as soon as he was like Marvel Jesus, and then he was like 1 second, and then he ran off, whip panned, headbutted the camera, was like, suck it, Fox.
I'm going to Disneyland.
Oh, love it. Yeah, really good. I mean, it was always going to have good fourth wall breaks, but there was some.
Yeah,
some
there's
nice
like there's
ones in there.
the little one, the one that like really made me like that really sent me under was I can't remember what's happening. I think it's when he's meeting one of the other Deadpools, like the nice pool.
Yeah.
Also, I think somebody grabs him and it's sort of like he takes it inappropriately, or like he makes it inappropriate, and he's like, "Oh, I'm telling Blake," and just the little like that's what I was talking about with like the little fourth wall breaks, like the winks to camera that like if you're not really listening, you'll miss them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really impact like the pacing of a scene. But the little things like that, it's just littered with them, like too many for me to remember. Like having only just watched it and only seen it once. Every 5 minutes, you felt like you were like laughing at something.
Oh yeah, like laughing out loud and not just being like, I'm in a cinema with lots of people, let's all laugh. It was like I was genuinely like, it amused me. Like I was actually
a couple of them catch you off guard.
Yeah, one of them that really caught me off guard, which so cameos. Chris
How
Evans.
long have we got?
Right, Chris Evans as Johnny Storm was so funny.
Yeah, I think for a split second I was like, it sounds like him, it kind of looks like him. You can sort of hear like the undertones. I thought it was the Captain America theme, and I'm like, oh god, they're not going to bring
it was
him
a
back
really good bait.
as Captain America, and then that like the bait and switch.
I was so funny.
It was like he's going to say it. He's going to say it.
Oh yeah, I did love that. And then when Cassandra Nova like rips his flesh off and he just falls down, and then Ryan Reynolds is like, oh thank God the budget couldn't have afforded that for much longer.
Yeah. I think that was the the first big one.
Yes.
But there's so many.
There's little ones. So when he's looking for the right Logan variant, Henry Cavill Wolverine, like fixing a bike.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one, like, because I thought, you know, there would be like a little bit of a trip through timelines where he could try and spot them, and the majority of them were played by Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
Especially the one where he's in the one where he's in the bar and he turns around and it's like comic book accurate and he's like 5'3".
He's tiny.
It's hilarious. Like, it doesn't look right, but it is so hilarious.
Yeah.
To see that, and then, you know, like how condescending he was, like, oh, look at you, like you stuck the landing.
You short king.
Yeah. No, that was brilliant. But like, there's a lot of those where they could have been played. Like, I know there was like rumors of Taron Egerton or Daniel Radcliffe. Henry Cavill suits the mutton chops. He really does.
It looks great, honestly. I was like, I wish there's a bit more of that, but like, I was very cool.
Yeah, I think he's out of the DC picture now, so maybe come to the dark side.
I mean, I'm sure there'd be open arms to getting him in somewhere.
I don't know. Do you think that's more like sort of like fan service in terms of
Yeah.
John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, or is that sort of a hint at
No.
welcome new Wolverine, I guess?
I don't think they're going to rush to welcome in. I mean, they are going to do an X-Men film at some point, so potentially, but I think they're probably just going to let it lie for a bit now.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that it will just be existing characters from the Fox universes sort of coming in to you know, in the lead up and in Secret Wars.
And then maybe after
And then
Secret
post
Wars,
that,
some
post Secret
recasting.
Wars, it'll be maybe not wipe the slate clean, but it'll be sort of like, here's your new X-Men, here's your new Fantastic Four. Well, Fantastic Four's already been sort of like revealed.
Other cameos worth mentioning, when they're kind of at the base, sort of like 2/3 of the way through the film, the pruned variants. So you had Elektra, the original Elektra, the original Blade, Wesley Snipes playing him, and then my favourite character, Channing Tatum playing Gambit, was so funny. Every line just made me laugh.
Because it was a little bit like unintelligent. I think is he French New Orleans?
I honestly couldn't tell. I think it was almost like purposefully a really bad accent.
I think he says at one point, he's like, who's your dialect coach?
Yeah, I thought he was so funny. And
Sounded a little bit like he was gargling syrup at times.
Honestly, they were my favourite gags. Was just every time.
I think when you saw it as well, which was pretty, you know, like there was like the montage of them all coming out, and like I knew that, I can't remember her name, the actress who played Elektra, like way back in the early 2000s. Yeah. She was slated to return. That was already confirmed, and I think that's what started the rumour mill of how many Fox era characters are going to come back. I did not expect Blade at all, and then when sort of like you saw the swooshing of the trench coat of Gambit, it's like, is this going to be the dude who plays Remy LeBeau in X-Men Origins, or is it going to be Channing Tatum? Because he had I think it was a deal, or he wanted to do a Gambit film where he produced and starred. It was in development hell, I think, and then it just sort of got canned.
Yeah.
So for him to sort of, and you can sort of tell with his dialogue as well, where he's like, oh, we've done this before, and he's like, I've kind of done it before. Like, you could tell, but like, it's so cool to see him like in a comic book accurate sort of like get up, and he looked like he was having so much fun with it.
Oh yeah, and also like his powers were just like really cool to see in fight choreography, which is something different of him, like with the playing cards, like in the delayed detonation and stuff.
Yeah, you see it. You see a little bit of it in X-Men Origins, in like there's like the fight in like a back alley.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, like you see that in full force in this one, when it's like, again, just cool to see.
So sick. And then the last one in the squad was X-23. Daphne Keane was back.
Yeah.
Which was nice. I wish she had a bit more interactions with him, but there was a nice interaction by the fire pit with Wolverine. And that kind of kick-started his character development and his redemption arc.
Yeah.
It was really nice to see her come back. Obviously, there was closure with Logan, but like it's nice for her, well, because she's now in where it ends off. She's in the timeline with the rest
Universe
of them.
1005 or 6, can't remember.
So she's also in that universe, and so is Logan. Like, so I mean, I don't think it'll lead anywhere to anything, but like that's a nice closure.
A nice
to
little
Logan.
little bow around that one, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, like her Logan, the old man Logan that was like the father figure, has passed, but now there's another Logan that she can that's out there if she wants to
learn from, like a mentor figure, I guess.
Yeah. On the subject of Wolverine, of Logan, I think it really feels like a Deadpool movie for the first half, and then more of a Wolverine movie for the second half, especially with more X-Men stuff being integral to the plot for the second half. I think everything from kind of like the car scene, like they're in like the Honda, like from when they get in and Avril Lavigne starts playing, and he pulls over and he's like, what do you mean if they can save my world? And he like goes into a monologue, and then from that kind of point onwards, it really feels like more of Logan Wolverine kind of becomes more of a protagonist in the second half, and then it kind of evens out towards the end.
Yeah, but more plot. The plot sort of like leans towards him a little bit more.
Yes.
Like the overarching plot is like they need to save the world that Wade's from.
Yeah.
But he's sort of he's drawn the stakes are increased for him as well. I think.
Which I liked because, like, as I mentioned, it felt like the first half of the film was a bit slower, and I was like, oh, it kind of feels like he's a companion piece, but then it was nice and even by the end.
Yeah, 100%. I think one thing I did like about his character is, like, obviously it's not, they said from the off, like, we're not going to, mostly we're not going to desecrate the ending of Logan because it's such a well done ending.
Straight away.
Yeah. So, well, we'll pass spoiler territory now. Like, it does, but it doesn't at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, pardon Frank, it doesn't shit all over it. You know, it tiptoes around it, sometimes maybe a little bit too closely, but with it being a different version of Logan,
I think it's okay.
the plot beats are very similar, which is sort of like, it feels fresh but familiar.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a little bit of a mystery of, like, why he's dubbed the worst Wolverine kind of thing. But even though it's a technically new character, it feels very familiar with, like, Hugh Jackman's sort of, like, style of playing him. But you can't help but root for him as well, which is
Yeah, I think he becomes... Obviously, I haven't seen any of the X-Men films, but from what I've seen and from understanding the character, as the film goes on, he becomes more and more the Wolverine that fans would expect to see. He becomes more and more of his self. Just the action in general was just sick. Like the opening where they're literally he's beating TVA agents to death with is it adamantium bones of Wolverine?
that is... you could sort of tell that he wasn't using his weapons, like, from the footage from the trailer. I didn't expect him to be using, like the corpse of a... the corpse of a dearly beloved character.
It's like really tongue in cheek of, like, we're not gonna, like, defile the legacy of this, and then he goes, like, grave digging, and then it's literally like desecrating the corpse. And it's brilliant.
It's the way he sits him down, has a quick chat with him, and then the TVA agents arrive, and they're like, I think one of them's like, I really don't like you.
Yeah.
And he's like, put your weapons down. He's like, I won't use my weapons. I'll use something else though. And it's just like the way that they, like the previous two Deadpool films, that like in the first one where he's as he caused the car crash.
Yeah.
And it's like all of the title credits are like directed by, produced by, but like their actual names this time rather than like a totally CGI character. And
yeah, I liked how they kept that consistent with this. I can't remember if they did it this. I presume they did it in the second
stylistically
one.
very similar.
Another great fight was the fight in the car. It was great.
Yeah, it felt like, have you ever seen is it like car jiu-jitsu?
I don't think so.
It's when they're using like seatbelts and stuff.
I love how it also just like it went on for quite a while, so it wasn't just like a quick cutaway. Like it was a decent like length fight.
Yeah, they got like quite a bit of dialogue in there as well. What's this the song that's going behind that? Is it Grease?
Yes, Grease. Well, at the start it's The Greatest Showman, and it's quickly changed track.
I didn't notice that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really, I think as well, like one of the probably not one of the funniest, but like one of the funny ones for me is like his hatred for the Honda Odyssey.
Yeah.
Because he's a car salesman. I think he's in the car with like the family, and it's like, what's the difference between this and the Kia? And it's like, it's not a Honda. And he's like, you can't answer questions without swearing. Yeah, that was quite funny.
Yeah.
He's nothing if not consistent with the gags. Like it's almost like you forget about them, and then like it gets brought up again, and you're like, it's a bit of a callback, but it is still just as funny.
There's a hallmark of like a good comedian, like good stand-up as well, like have like recurring jokes throughout the set. Like at the very end of the set, they'll bring back like jokes from earlier on. Or what I want to talk about next, the street fight. He kind of like puts his cowl on, and then they just like battle through the street against all the Deadpool variants.
Yeah, there's so many, like, again, so many blink and you miss it, sort of like nods and cameos.
Yeah.
Like like Headpool, Kidpool, Babypool,
Like
Dogpool was
Samurai
hilarious.
One.
Yeah.
I swear there was like a Moon Knight one. It was like Egyptian.
Oh,
Moon Knight.
it was like sort of like monochrome suit with like the hood. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I think a few of them have names. There was like a Welsh pool as well, which is like the Welsh dragon. I nearly missed that until you nudged me and showed me. I nearly missed that.
I was like, Wrexham.
Yeah, and then as well in the bar, just a completely tangent, in the bar where he finds this version of Logan that he goes on the adventure with, the tall dude with the beard stood behind him.
Yeah.
And that's Ollie Palmer, who's like a Wrexham striker.
Oh, right.
I think I saw that from the trailer. I think it was like pointed out in one of the trailers, but I didn't think it'd actually make the final cut of the film, but like he actually is stood there, and I'm like...
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know if it was going to be, especially with like Welsh Pool, I didn't know if he was going to like take his mask off and it would be like Rob McElderry?
I'd heard there was a mention of him getting a cameo. Maybe he voiced someone that.
Or maybe it was him. They just never unmasked it like a. Yeah, I need to talk about the street fight. It was just so sick. Like one shot, one shot / one fake one shot, just like really really cool fight.
I think the way that
choreography.
Wolverine moves as well
Yeah.
is a lot more sort of primal, which is cool. I think the first time you spot it is when he's having the scrap with him in the desert, when they just get like axed to the void. The way he like sort of crawls on all fours, but he's like really quick. That's really cool. I don't think we've really seen that.
Well, and it also said that like his when he's reminiscing on his tragic backstory when the humans came and killed all the X-Men, and then he killed, basically essentially sounded like he went on like a primal rampage. Like he killed all the bad guys and also some good guys too, and it sounds like he really went into like just like a kind of.
I got Anakin Skywalker vibes from that. It's like not just the men, the women, and the children too. But like, yeah, you can't help but like I said before, you can't but root for him. But like, it is a bit tragic that when you finally find out what it is that's been plaguing him for so long, like, you know, why he is this broken, you know, version of the well-known character. But
I like how that's how they got the like comic book accurate suit into it as well. Is like he wears that as like carrying his guilt with him, but it's also like in memory of his fallen friends.
Yeah, I actually forgot that one. Yeah, but the scene where he's sort of like it's in the trailer when you see him walking out from behind the what is it, like a hot dog cart?
It's like behind the donut stand.
Yeah. It's like some kind of like street food cart walking out, and then like obviously you've seen it in the trailers because like I pointed out to you the Rob Liefeld gag.
I didn't get that.
The shot behind it says Liefeld's feet, like there's a podiatry like foot.
Yeah.
Rob Liefeld was like an artist for Marvel, and he was like, you ever seen that like the really bad image of Captain America where like his pectoral muscles are just like stupidly big?
Yeah.
That was him, but like he also could not draw feet.
Oh right.
So the fact that like it's a podiatry like shop is hilarious. I didn't catch that in any of the trailers, and then like I spotted it and I was like, that's a little funny.
There's some good visual gags. Visual gags are also just references that really like sets it in universe. Like when they're in the void, a lot of like pruned like artifacts and stuff. There was like a helicarrier. There was like the Titan rings, like Thanos's like teleport ring ship things.
Oh, the Ebony Moore's driving.
Yes, a bunch of those.
There's loads. I think noticed it in the trailer at first, but when he first ends up in the void and he's on his back, and then you got the silhouette of Wolverine.
Yeah.
Far left, the little the comic book cover, Secret Wars.
Oh yeah.
But it's like the 2015 Secret Wars, which is, I think it was Hickman. His run of like Avengers and New Avengers that led to the Time Runs Out to Secret Wars, which is basically where Marvel not scrapped everything, but basically what they're leading to with this multiverse saga is sort of like incursions pitting multiple characters against one another, like, you know, think Endgame, but like if they do it correctly, even bigger.
I do think they do have a lot of legwork to get to that point. I think
100%.
They need to make it feel earned, and I would be happy if they pushed back the next two Avengers films back by another year or two. Like even if they come out in like 28, 29, I'd rather there be a build up to it rather than feeling.
I mean, we are imminent with San Diego Comic-Con season sort of coming in, and you know, announcements coming in.
Yeah. So we're recording this the night that the films come out, just seen it in IMAX. So then in 2 days' time, I believe, Marvel's taking to Hall H at Comic-Con, which is the first time they've had a big presence there in a few years, I think. I think they've continued to do stuff yearly, but not. I think they're gearing up to be like a big presentation. So with this in mind, where do you kind of see them going forward with this? Where would you like to see them go forward with this?
They're ramping up for Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Having read the 2015 Secret Wars, which is what it's sort of based on, it's
huge,
crazy.
Yeah, it
is crazy. To see that put, you know, given the Endgame treatment, like on screen, like would be this times 20.
Yeah.
You know, Multiverse of Madness times 20. Just the possibilities. They were ramping up for Kang being the big bad of the next few phases, like the new Thanos, so to speak. I don't like saying the new Thanos, but
well, the next central antagonist.
Yeah. With, you know, of late with what's happened with Jonathan Majors, there's two ways that they can do it. Like option A would be like, say it's multiverse story, recast them. They can do that again. I think, you know, I feel like there is a little bit of a problem. Kang is a character that comic book literate fans, you know, like that have been around the block with Marvel, will know what he's capable of, who he is, how dangerous he is. I feel like just for your run-of-the-mill Marvel fans that have just seen him in the films, they'll have seen him in Loki and then Quantumania. Having watched Quantumania and having him seeing his arse getting handed to him by
ants.
Yeah, I feel like that is a time to sort of segue maybe away from the character. But that's option 2. I feel like the strongest option would still be like who's the fella that you
Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, having this guy in as a more mature Kang Prime, so to speak.
Yeah, that
would be because he cut quite an intimidating figure in Quantumania, but it was sort of maybe not let down, but it was sort of lessened by the fact that it was low stakes. Like everyone sort of got away with it, like towards the end of Quantumania when it's like, oh, I thought going into it, Ant-Man's not going to make it to the end credits. Then it was sort of like, oh, like he's alive, but he's stuck in the quantum realm. There's no way for him to get back, and then suddenly it's like, oh, there you go,
Yeah.
Deus Ex portal out of there. So
yeah, I think that they actually made him established quite threatening at the start when he's literally like can like crush any of them like with just like telekinesis.
Yeah.
Which was sick, but then I think the writing really nerfed him. I think the writing, the scripts really made him not as intimidating as he probably should have done.
I think it was really exciting to see him play
He Who Remains and Victor Timely both.
Yeah,
cool
just the season 1 finale when it's He Who Remains, because it just gave you a little bit of a sprinkle of who this guy is, and he's sort of like, I think it was almost not even arrogance,
like hubris. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just the way he's sort of like, well, here's your plan, you run this for me, or you kill me, but I'll be back. And like the fact that he's so confident in his plan.
Yeah.
To see the other side of that, where it is just almost rage and just raw power.
It's him being like around the block and like confident. It's two different sides of confidence. It's
I mean, they are. You have to remember they are two different variants of the same character. But yeah, I feel like they're in a bit of a bind with what to do. I feel like they need to make the decision. Well, they probably already have made the decision, haven't they? I just want to know now.
It's whether they take it down the route of like a different variant, like Kang Prime or something, or whether they pivot because they have cast Galactus for the Fantastic Four, and it's like, is that the new central antagonist? Like they could, like we saw earlier today that they posted a cast photo of Fantastic Four on Pedro Pascal's Instagram. They're obviously together. Maybe they bring them out, and then they're like, here's also here's Galactus, here's the antagonist, here's also the directors of Secret Wars, and this is I think they basically just need to establish the roadmap, because coming off the hype of this and probably a big box office hauling of this film,
capitalize on that hype.
Capitalize on the hype. Marvel's back. Here's the plan, I think, and then
there's a lot of loose thread points at the moment.
Yes,
which is
loads.
Just a little bit frustrating, I guess, because you go into a film just you want to enjoy the film, but also as well like there's little thread points that maybe get tied up. There's and obviously now that they've got access to this entire back catalogue of previous films, they're sort of trying to not tie up little ends previously. Like you saw it in No Way Home, like with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. They sort of gives
them closure.
Yeah, and you're getting that with Tim Blake Nelson's The Leader, who was teased in I think it was 2008's Incredible Hulk when Ed Norton was playing Bruce Banner. He'll be appearing in Brave New World. I feel like it needs to sort of like look after its own eggs first before it starts tying up other people's jobs.
Yeah,
You've got so many like loose ends.
Well, I guess like after Endgame, they were like, we're gonna just kind of spread in different directions, see what lands. Like Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home, I guess, was a bit different, but it really kind of sprawled in different directions. And then with the shows like Loki, WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, just within the first year and a half of Phase 4, it was just so scattergunned. So I think they should just kind of abandon the ones that don't stick and start to kind of centralise it all, which is bringing it back around to this film. It does feel like a great time, like loved it, but it did almost feel not much changed. The film didn't feel like it had a big impact on the MCU as an overall, because they return Logan and Wade Wilson to his original timeline. The only thing that's really changed is you have this variant of Logan is now back in his timeline, walking around. He's kind of like redeemed himself within himself. And then there's also the 4 other variants like Elektra, Blade, X-23 and Gambit, but it doesn't feel like it's really had much of an impact on the overall.
No,
MCU.
I think when they announced the original teaser trailer, and I think it was shot in Ryan Reynolds' house, like Hughes there, and it's like, oh, we know you've got questions, and when they said we're not going to mess with like the Logan ending, a lot of people were sort of like, it's going to be a Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe sort of like story beats from that, which it's a comic that I've not really read, but I sort of know of.
Yeah.
I thought what it would be is the TVA task him with a mission, and he fails so spectacularly, it like royally messes something up. It's not downhill from there, but it's sort of like you will start seeing sort of like
well, like you could have led to incursions and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I thought there would be maybe a mention of that, or like you would have it would allude to it.
Yeah.
It didn't, not that it felt low stakes, but it's sort of like when the film, when the credits started rolling, you literally sat there thinking like, other than now, maybe a few characters appear in, in the Fox universe, still standing. It's not getting destroyed. It's still there, but the only thing that happens in 616 is this interview with Happy, right?
Which is
at the
still
start.
kind of like, how and when does that take place? It could have been something to do with his him using.
He's wearing Cable's watch.
It could have been something to do with that.
It's just after he does all the time traveling.
But yeah, so I do think that it could be seen as being inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, for better or for worse. I think for the better. I think it essentially gave us a fun romp of seeing these two characters having a buddy cop film with some great action, great comedy, quite some good emotional beats actually, especially with Hugh Jackman's Logan Wolverine portrayal. And then it doesn't have to be earth-shattering and moves like...
Change the course of Marvel history.
Yeah, and going back to what we were saying, everything's so polarizing, it's all or nothing. It doesn't have to be. I quite like that this is just like, I think, for better, is just a fun movie that basically like explores these characters and they both get resolution at the end.
100%. Because I thought just to touch on all, like the casting is obviously a lot of returning characters, but the casting is great.
Yeah.
McFadden as Paradox, or Mr. Paradox. Is it McFadden? He was brilliant.
Yeah, I do think he was well casted. I do think that it was a bit of a letdown of how they handled the kind of antagonists. I thought that what he stood for and what he represented in the story was kind of good, but it was almost like, oh, I'm going to erase it because I can't be bothered waiting, and I kind of alluded to some kind of promotion. And then Cassandra...
I think it was sort of like middle management. He was sort of like, I don't want to be part of the TVA, I want to be the TVA. He wants to like work his way up, and efficiency. If I can make something more efficient and make like my job easier.
I just don't think they made him for that kind of mentality. I don't think they made him threatening enough, but maybe that's within the character. He's just this kind of like pencil pusher, just wants to make it as...
I think like from the trailer footage, it's very sort of like, ooh, mysterious kind
he's
of
more
thing.
snappy, whereas in this he's a bit more flustered, a bit more...
Yeah, he camps it up a little bit, doesn't he?
Yes.
I think he's I've not even watched Succession really, but having seen him in clips of Succession.
He's very much that character in Succession.
Yeah.
I think it's Tom. And I think that what they did with Cassandra Nova was interesting, and kind of like with her being pruned essentially like when she was incredibly young, and then being raised in that, and that's all she's known, and being the twin of Charles Xavier that he never knew. There's some interesting stuff there. I think the stuff in The Void leading up to like them putting the Juggernaut helmet on her and her letting them go, I did find it a bit wishy-washy with like her character motivation flip-flop of like her being like, if Charles trusted you, then I do too, opens a portal, and then follows it through and being like, actually, I'm going to destroy every reality and go back to the Void. And then with the time erasing machine and the convenience of, oh, it's literally just below her, you just have to go in and just pull them together, and it just felt a bit too plot convenient. But then saying that, like, the montage when they're holding the antimatter and matter together was very cool. That was a real highlight. In summary, it feels like for every two good things there is about this film, there's one probably not so strong thing.
The plot wasn't all there. Like, it felt sort of like maybe shoehorned in at times, or like not like super strong. I didn't really think it needed it. Like, say, it's just one of these sort of like action popcorn film romps that just lets you forget about everything for just over 2 hours, and it's fun. It's it's funny. The action sequences are good. Yeah. You don't really have to think about it too hard. Visually, very good.
Which I think is very par for the course for Sean Levy. I think the director, Sean Levy, he's just very good at those type of films. Like, he did Free Guy. Basically, a lot of more recent Ryan Reynolds stuff. So he did Free Guy, The Adam Project, but then in the past he's also done like Night at the Museum and Cheaper by the Dozen. He did a few episodes of Stranger Things. So he's quite good at doing crowd-pleasing, fun, blockbuster, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 films. I think he did a good job with it. I think it's very par for the course for his filmography, and I think it's good. I think this is a good film. I definitely recommend watching it. Like we said, it's a great popcorn film. Its appeal is quite a wide net, I would say.
Yeah, if you like the previous Deadpool films, you don't have to watch absolutely everything MCU related in the run-up to it. Again, it's just one of those like easy access. You can just jump in, and you won't get absolutely everything, but it's still enough for you to sit, watch, and enjoy the film. Likewise with, if you like old school Fox era Marvel films, there's a lot of fan service there. And again, if you like a bit of a diehard MCU fan as well, it ties into the recent properties quite well. I thought like, the introduction of the TVA might have been maybe a little bit of a risk. If you've not seen Loki, you might be like, who are these guys? But again, a little bit of an exposition dump at the start, and enough to see where it's going, enough to not be like, I have no idea who this person is, what is going on.
Yeah.
Blah, you know?
Yeah, I think similar to Spider-Man No Way Home in the sense that anyone could sit down and watch it and have a great time, but you'll get more out of it if you've seen the properties leading up to it. So with this, if you've seen a lot of the X-Men stuff, you'll get more from it. Me personally, I haven't seen them all, but I still had a great time, and I've seen all the MCU content leading up to it, and I thought it was just a very good, fun 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 romp.
Yeah, 100%. No notes.
I'm glad to see it and glad to go in unspoiled. If you got to this point in the podcast and you haven't seen it, we've spoiled it for you.
Whoops.
Sorry.
You know, after a couple of rewatches, I will be able to like recite some of the funnier lines. Well, like pretty much the entire film, because the whole thing is like, you know, quite funny.
So yeah, thanks for listening to this episode of the Home Screen Podcast. I think this is our longest episode by quite a margin. This has been episode 11.
That's because I can talk for Britain, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. And there's a lot to say about this, both spoiler-free and spoilers within. Thanks for joining, Ben.
Not a problem, thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this episode, please check out our social media, give us a rating on Spotify or a like on YouTube. Hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Bye.